Hello, and welcome to another episode of May the Code Be With Us with KSP Rp-1. So we're in the launch pad for our film return mission. So the actual contract is to recover an object from orbit, here, reach orbital speed and return safely to Earth. You don't actually have to reach orbit, just have to pass 150 kilometers in altitude and 6,500 meters per second of speed. But we have the film return camera, the early one, inside. We're going to go for a polar orbit. And where is this thing? Where's curvable construction? Doesn't matter. We're in dire need of science. We're researching. We only have one technology queued up, and it's solid rocket boosters, which I don't really need. So yeah, let's get this going. Just go straight south, and it's the very the craft mass is the very edge of this rocket, so of what this can do. So we want to just hug the Earth, the atmosphere. Bit of lag there apparently. Let's limit the gimbal. I am at a loss as to what to do. Okay, yeah, this is about these two engines, because the test light is not working with them, and it's only this save. So I think it's I don't know if it's a bug with how do you call it, like the option to enable extra telemetry, because these are the only two engines that I have done that with. But yeah, they're not gathering data units, and they're not failing. Now I don't mind the AJ10 so much because it's early and then you get the mid and late versions. But this one you use for the entire, like all the upgrades for the RD series are within this one part. And it's the basis for the R7 rocket, which I really like and was planning on using for the entire career. But yeah, if it's only these two engines, I don't want to take my save apart just to try to fix that. So I'll see if I can fix it, but if not, I might plan to use different rockets. Or maybe install another engine pack that has the RD-108 available as another part. Have to look into that. Well, anyway. Our target is to get 19 science, because that's the next, I forget which is the next node that I wanted to get, but it's the requirements for that. I even researched supersonic flight, just to have something more useful than solid rockets. And we finally finished with supersonic flight analysis. It doesn't matter. I don't know which is the probe that has it running. Probably this one. Here it is. Perfect. So I'm already building another rocket like this one, except that instead of the film return camera, it's the advanced biological sample capsule. And then just to get more science. Though I think this contract of recovering something from orbit is, you can do it multiple times, but I think there's like a cooldown, so if you do it right away again, you don't get like a very good pay for it. So I might have to check that. If that is the case, what I'm going to build next is going to be the mangle for the RD-107, so just the rocket to test the engine, just like a big sounding rocket to get data on the RD-107, so I can add boosters to this thing, because yeah, this, like I said, very much the limit. You'll see once we reach orbit there will barely be any fuel left here. And yeah, with a GLaDOS rocket with 2 boosters, we can shoot something at the moon. So for my previous series, I had developed some code. I had developed my own less than adequate autopilot, but it wasn't as wasteful as the KRPC one, as far as wasting RCS. And I thought to try this with for this mission, like to try out the code. That was, I think that series was in 1.4.3, I think. I don't remember. But it did not seem to do a very good job. But then I actually just tried using the KRPC one, which like can control the craft. Is just too wasteful, and it couldn't control this either. So I think my RCS placement here was just really, really bad. I was trying to get center of mass so that I could just get away with these 4 RCS, but they don't really provide a lot of torque for pitch and yaw. So I think what I should have done was to put RCS thrusters here as well. So in the end, I tried like also just turning on SAS to cancel out that initial rotation after Miku, and SAS couldn't do it. So that's why I just left it like this. And also yeah, lost my train of thought. Yeah, so SAS cannot stabilize this thing easily with the RCS and everything, so yeah, it's just bad port placement. But we have more than enough hydrazine in this rocket to do the few maneuvers that we need, so it's not really a problem. And I'm thinking I chose the wrong direction to fly, because I went south and I just passed Central America and then it's just water, which we already have all of the film for. So there's no... Why is it going so weird? No, that was worse. I've been launching this rocket like 20 times, and this part was always working. I was just trying to get like the best parameters for getting to orbit with some fuel left. And it never gave me this thing. I don't know what's going on. Is the script still running? Yes. I kind of really need this science right now. I cannot afford this to not get into orbit. Let's try find control. I need to do this anyway for when it's using the RCS. And of course, yeah, let's just and see if it can recover itself. But we have the parameters for the, like we have the requirements for the contract, but I just really need the science. Let me arm the parachute. So this isn't helping, it's burning backwards. Tell it to use RCS as well. I have no clue what happened. Okay, so I guess this is to counteract the fact that my my engines can't fail. Now my autopilot can fail. Yeah, no. Okay, interesting. The moment I shut down the engines, the RCS starts working. Huh. Okay. So time to kill this program and do the landing one. It should be alright. Yeah. Oh no, this one is not alright. Yeah, no. Okay, that should work. And I also forgot that the command to aim retrograde is right here, so I accidentally got rid of that one. Yeah, but no. No connection, no anything. I'm just going to see if this survives on its own. Okay, so we're in the thick of it now, and well, thankfully, even without any guidance whatsoever, this thing just will orient itself accordingly. Okay, so now I can see this. Why did I not see it before? Anyways, so yeah, this is the same rocket with the biological sample capsule instead of the film return camera. I don't know if I want to build another one of these first and switch it here. I'll see what I do after this lands. I don't know if I think I'm getting 2 signs for the contract, and I don't know if recovering something. Well, no, because I have recovered something from suborbital flights, just not orbit, and this will not count for that. Ah, bloody hell. Yeah, how would you pronounce that? Ablator, I think it is. Ablator is burning off, but no danger whatsoever. We're steady, pointing retrograde. It all looks good. Parachute is armed. This will splash down safely. And that's full parachute deployment. That brings us 4.8 meters per second. So this is going to splash down safely. So I'll just follow this down and I'll see you back at the Space Center. Okay, so back in the Space Center, we do not get any more signs for recovering this from a suborbital flight. We did get 2 signs from the contract plus 182 funds, which are quite good. Now, what do I want to do? So currently we're researching solid rocket engines, which I really don't want. I could go for this next node, which is only 2. But then that's 2 science more that I need to get to. What did I want to do? Yes, basic avionics and prop. This is the next thing I need. And we're 5 science away. You know what? Let's start researching this, because I mean, I guess for this particular launch, strapping a couple of casters would have made it simpler, but like I've tested it, the rocket can get this payload to orbit. It's just as long as it doesn't pass out like it did. I think maybe I was trying to do this setting a 200 kilometer apogee, and this one I went to 180, and I don't know, maybe that was a little too low on it, because I have it deciding the pitch depending on the ratio between I think the desired, no, I think it's from per G. I need to test that launch vehicle again, because I don't know what happened there. But yeah, I'm going to research this one. The thing is, it's still going to go for solid rocket engines afterwards. Yeah, I don't want to go this far. So 29 days. Actually, yeah, that's the problem. Either way, I'm running out of. That's bad. Oh, we do have money, so that's one thing we're going to do. I have already queued up the upgrade for the tracking station, so that's not a problem. Yeah, I'm good with this. 300 funds, a little bit less. So that brings this down to 87 days. Oh, and that it's only 69 days to upgrade the tracking station. That's quite good. Thought it would be more. So these two will finish researching as I'm finishing this rocket. But then there's also like, this is just one experiment. I want, yeah. So I'm going to build another Timber 5, which is the one we just launched. I'm going to test the rocket again in my sandbox save to see what the hell went wrong. And we'll be back with that launch. Okay, we are back. So there hasn't been any modification to the rocket. The only thing is I changed the staging to actually, yeah, I did this. It was already building. Yeah, this is the only change I need to do. So I changed the script that now instead of decoupling the first stage at Miko, I wait until we're close to apogee, so that we light the second stage right away. The reason for this is that the rotation that we see is not so much because the first stage is still rotating at Miko, but because the decoupler introduces this rotation. It might be, yeah, I forgot about that. It might be a thing with Principia, that they say the previous version had some random rotations introduced. This version that I'm using, they said that it was mostly fixed, but there was still a few rare occasions. I did not read which occasions they were. Maybe it's decoupling a fairing or an interstage. So yeah, originally I decoupled the first stage right away just to stop the power draw, especially since here we cannot generate power, so it's going to limit a little bit more the time we can spend in orbit before returning. But yeah, it means that we'll be pointing in the right direction when we ignite the second stage. And the other, actually let me just launch this and then talk about this on the way up. Usually the first time I run a program. So yeah, I just started up KSP again. It's yesterday that I was recording the first part of this episode, it crashed, so I just had to continue today. So we're going, we're going north. We just need to get past 150, and 180 is good. Oh yeah, we want to launch right now. And yeah, I know I've had that typo there, specific, for ages, and I always forget to just change it. Okay, so yeah, I think the oscillation that we saw in the previous launch is due to the fact that the AJ-10 has no roll authority, and the decoupling action was causing a little bit of a roll. So now also what I'm doing is, the moment I decouple, I activate the RCS to keep the roll under control, and that way there should not be any weird oscillation. But yeah, aside from that, why is this not showing the signs? Yes, please. I'll just show the highlights of the launch, and hopefully there's nothing interesting to show, because usually with a rocket launch, interesting means bad. Okay, so we're getting quite close to Miko, and so far no problems. A 157-kilometer apogee, pretty much hugging the atmosphere, which is what we really want. We want a very efficient trajectory. Though, of course, it was a very shallow trajectory, so there was some extra drag, so I don't know if maybe a slightly higher apogee would have been more efficient. But this has been working, so don't try to fix what isn't broken, right? And by working, I mean when I'm testing. Obviously, the moment I do something in the actual career save, it fails. Okay, we're about 10 seconds away from second stage ignition. I really should dig up my old code for creating the like UI and knowing exactly when things are going to happen instead of guessing. So yeah, we have the water. So I'm still building the what is it, the Timber 6? No, wait, here. And of course, yeah, touch the electric charge thing, which is the same rocket but with the advanced biological sample capsule instead of the film return camera. There is, I was wrong about repeating the re-entry contract. I do have another contract that I'm able to do right away, and it's pays even better. But now it's a minimum perigee of 200 kilometers. I think now with this, without having to do the bloody flip, because it was not pointing in the right direction, and the advanced biological capsule is somewhat lighter, I think. So I should be able to do this with the same rocket. I can also just launch it into well, launch east instead of polar. So I should be able to do this with the same rocket. But then after that, I need to do a mangle for the RD-107, and I still haven't installed another pack to see if I can get a test light to work with the RD-108. And I think I'm just going to avoid doing the extra telemetry, or test it in my sandbox save to see if that's what caused these engines not to gather any data units. The only frustrating thing is I've had several launches with this rocket, and if I get the RD-108 to work with test light, I will start again with very low data units and probably a lot of failures, which I should have gotten at this point. So I shouldn't complain too much about it. Okay, so we still got a bit short, so let's activate these engines. Perfect. Well, not perfect. That should have been done with this engine. I'll So yeah, I'm not entirely sure about my earlier claim of being able to do the 200-kilometer perigee with the same rocket, but I'll have to test that. Is this... yeah, this is running. Forest, perfect. This did not activate. Ah no, I think I have it in my re-entry code. So anyway, I'm going to follow this and trying to see how many biomes I can get before we need to deorbit due to the electricity situation, and we'll come back when it's time to deorbit. Okay, so it hasn't been that long, but apparently, which makes sense, there's a limit to the amount of film in this film return camera. And so I wish I would have done this a little bit smarter, because we have 5 slots out of the 6. And aside from the Taiga one, they're all partial, so we don't have that much science for this. So that it means next time I launch a mission like this, I can also fill those 6 slots quite quickly without any real, like, good quantity of data. But well, apparently you can't get that much anyway due to the amount of film. So then it's time to deorbit. And we're 10 minutes away from apogee, so good time to do this. Yeah, let's leave this just in case. And here we have the horribly wasteful RCS for autopilot for KRPC. Though, like I said before, like this is not an ideal configuration. And yeah, I think along with testing Tesla to see how I get it to work, I'm also going to send a very maneuverable probe into orbit in my sandbox save and use that to get a decent autopilot. Then it will be a matter of proper RCS port placement. The good thing is we don't need a lot to deorbit, because well, we're up to 166, but at some point, since this is with Principia, the orbit kind of fluctuates a little bit, and at some point we're below 140 kilometers. So yeah, I'm not that worried about not being able to deorbit this. I'm worried about the fact that it hasn't really moved in the direction that it needs to move. Oh, I might need it. Yeah. So what happened is, because before I had to skip the whole deorbit thing, which is the first mode in this code, because we didn't make orbit. So I went straight to the second mode. Well, I don't want to fiddle around with the code too much, so let's do another pass. So be right back. Okay, so we are back. I did a couple of passes to make sure that the probe was pointing retrograde, more or less retrograde, when I did this, and it doesn't seem to be reacting, which is really weird. Now I'm glad that this thing got depleted, because if not I would have waited until I had a very little electric charge and keeping doing, well, I guess I could just change the code so that it's not at apogee, but still. I'm just curious to see if this turns off the engines or not even that. It should be 30 seconds away. Yeah, so nope, I have no idea what's going on. Okay, so I think this is more of a bug because I can also I'm pressing like controls to move this manually just to test, and it's not doing anything either. So yeah, I need to fight with this and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. Had to restart the game and it doesn't look promising. Right now the program is running and it should start to use the RCS in a few seconds, which is not doing. But yeah, before I tried sending some commands and throttle works, but attitude controls don't work. And I don't know why. The last thing I can think of, I'm going to wait to see at 7 hours 5 minutes it should throttle up. If it doesn't, the next thing I'm going to see if it works while being in range of a comm station. Now that shouldn't be a problem because I mean the whole point of KRPC is you send, and previously I sent the command while I still had the connection, and then it was supposed to do the maneuver when it didn't have the connection. Maybe because I tweaked the settings to be able to send to transfer the data samples. This science is really playing hard to get. Okay, so yeah, the lack of control was because I was not in range of any station, and the lack of this thing working was because I had two checks for doing the maneuver near apogee. I changed one of them so that it would be right away, but then I forgot about the other one, so maybe that's why it wasn't doing anything. It was still waiting for apogee. So yeah, in that way I'm an idiot. But hopefully it means that the mod is working properly. And I'm okay with not being able to control it without a connection because that's the whole point of this series. So, good. Okay, there goes the orbit burn. I time warp a little bit because I gave it 3 minutes to maneuver, but then since the RCS was not doing anything, yeah, I just canceled that. Okay, so that worked, and it doesn't arm the parachute until it's at 145 kilometers altitude, but I'm not comfortable waiting for that. So let's just arm it right now that we have connection. And I'm not going to enable the RCS because I think the action group for that is to toggle it. So if I enable it now and it does work, it's going to disable it. And that did enable the RCS, so yeah, it was working correctly. And now the only thing is, once we hit Atmo here, it should turn on the well, start using the RCS to point to retrograde. So if this starts firing off the RCS, then we know it's working even without connection. And it was just, I'm used to remote tech, which was backwards. It allowed you to do attitude control without connection, but you couldn't do like action groups, toggle RCS, RCS, staging, all of that. And I think here I am able to do all those things without connection, but not do any attitude control. I can't throttle up. I think both of them allowed you to throttle up, but yeah. Okay, yeah, so that is working. And it does seem to be able to actually move. So yeah, my RCS placement was definitely off. I mean, it's obviously wasting a lot of RCS, and we're going to run out of it pretty quick. But at least it is moving in the right direction, whereas my craft was not. So we've already seen a re-entry. I'll show the fireworks bit. This is the first re-entry from full orbit. So, but I've already gone long enough about how I don't seem to know exactly how all these mods interact. And things are starting to get heated. But the rate of loss of fab leader is quite decent, so no problem there. We also have a nice sunset color as background. And I have no idea where we're coming down. Where are we? Ah, South America. So apparently we're going to hit the Pacific. We're going into the water. I don't know, maybe. Here's a coastline. Actually, wait, which? Yeah, so. Okay, so this is land, this is water. Now I'm lost as to where we are. Maybe I shouldn't take those graphics too seriously. It is dark after all. Okay, so we're about to touch down. And I hope it's touchdown instead of splashdown. We're over Earth shores. Damn it. Because I didn't want to deal with this bubbling thing. But anyway, we recover something from an orbit. Let's see the science. Okay, so 10 science from this. Plus another 10 science from recovering something from orbit. Perfect. Okay, so finally we have stuff to research. So I had said, so this is all the last thing we need to do probes to the moon. Do I want to also get these solar panels? I mean, they're still level 0, so just bigger. For that I have these solar panels can be resized. So let's skip that for now. Oh, upper stage for the Soyuz rocket. That's tempting. Do I need it though? Then I do want to get this. So yeah, the idea was get everything for lunar probes, and possibly also interplanetary probes. Then quickly research the supersonic flight thing, which shouldn't take too long, it's just 2 and 3 science. And then start researching everything I need for capsules so that I can launch stuff to the moon and do spaceplane missions while I research the capsules. Well, I can do both things, so let's just queue both of these. And I think I'll research supersonic flight first, just because it shouldn't take too long, and I want to start building. I'm not going to spend a lot of upgrade points in the space plane hangar, so I want to start building them early. So next episode we have another sample return mission. I'll try to see if I can do the contract as well, because money would be nice. And possibly also the Mangle launch for the RD-107. And hopefully this episode isn't too long. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.